Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to share with you the latest developments on European transport policy with regards to networks. To introduce myself, I'm working in the European Commission since 2010, and I'm responsible for the development of the TransEuropean transport network, especially in Poland, Austria and Slovakia. I followed the activities along the Baltic-Adriatic axis for quite a long time, and I'm familiar not only with your project, but also with the other Interact projects, Sonora, Scandria, and with the Napa ports and the CETC Route 65 initiative in Poland. Today, I want to present to you the physical backbones of the European transport policy and want to show you how your activities in the Baltic-Adriatic Transport Corporation have fitted and will fit into the picture. I provided you with some slides to follow. In October 2011, the European Commission tabled proposals for revised guidelines for the Trans-European Transport Network and a new funding line called Connecting Europe Facility, to put it short, TEN-T and CEF. Both are the basis for further improvements on railway lines, roads, inland waterways and ports, on interoperability and intermodality, especially along multimodal core network corridors and on cross-border sections. The new infrastructure policy shall enable economic growth and ecologically friendly development, but this can only work by overcoming technical barriers, missing links, bottlenecks and inefficient capacity management. The new infrastructure policy shall also bring a serious contribution to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. The two legislative proposals are now subject to discussions between the Member States, the European Parliament and the European Commission. We hope to finalize the legal text by summer and publish them by the end of this year. The new Trans-European Transport Network will consist of a comprehensive and core network. The comprehensive network will include the main national rail lines, roads, as ground layers to ensure accessibility and common standards. The core network will replace the patchwork of the existing priority projects by a single European network of rail lines, roads and inland waterways. The core network will connect the capitals, the big agglomerations and the main ports with each other. The core network has to be accomplished until 2030, the comprehensive network by 2050. To implement the core network, the Commission proposed multimodal corridors, which will provide for greater modal integration, interoperability and coordination of investments, works and management of the infrastructure. The Baltic-Adriatic corridor, your corridor, will be one of them. According to our estimates, developing the infrastructure to match Europeans' rising transport demand will require 1,500 billion euros up to 2030. This needs long-term funds and commitments from governments. Just up to 2020, we will need about 500 billion euros to complete the TEN-T network. Half of it only to remove the main bottlenecks like the Alpine crossings or the Fehmarn Belt crossing. The European Commission proposed a budget for transport investment from the Connecting Europe facility of 31.7 billion euros for the period of 2014 to 2020. The heads of state reduced this amount in February by 1/3, but the debates are still ongoing. It is foreseen to fund from the CEF investments mainly in rail and a few roads, but also some other projects like the rail traffic management system or innovative projects in core network ports. The CEF includes an annex with the list of pre-identified projects in the corridors. If these projects are works, they can receive up to 85% co-funding in the cohesion countries, like in Poland, Slovakia and Slovenia, and up to 40% in other member states, like Austria or Italy. For ERTMS or studies, the member states can receive up to 50%. The future Baltic-Adriatic corridor will connect the Baltic with the Adriatic ports via Poland, Slovakia, Czech Republic and Austria, Slovenia and Italy. For the sake of reducing administrative burden, it is still under discussion to change the alignment in the north, starting in the Polish ports, following the example of the Baltic-Adriatic axis. The Baltic states then would go to the Rotterdam-Warsaw corridor, the east-west corridor. This both would better cover the existing rail freight corridors with their own single governance structure. Also, a branch of the Baltic-Adriatic corridor to Szczecin and Świnoujście is considered. The CF Annex includes along the Baltic-Adriatic corridor several rail projects, for example in Poland, the connection between the harbour and Warsaw, or Warsaw-Katowice-Kraków, but also the Semmering Base Tunnel and the core arm railway line, the upgrading of the existing line between Udine, Cervignano and Trieste, and the interconnections of the ports of Trieste, Venice, Ravenna, Koper, and of the Polish ports. All core network corridors will have European coordinators, which will coordinate the development along the corridor, including not only the stakeholders from national, regional, and local level, but also infrastructure managers and transport users. This is the moment the cooperation along the Baltic-Adriatic axis comes in. This cooperation is an experience association dealing with the improvement of interregional connections beyond national borders. With your Batco project, you showed a good example for what European Union is heading for, making the transport of goods and the mobility of people more secure, more efficient and more environmental friendly, contributing directly and indirectly to growth and economic dynamism. The challenge for stakeholders like you is to bring in your expertise and your knowledge in the development of the strategies via the future governance structure. We need cooperation partners to bring in the wider economic view on the benefits that come from shortening distances between the economic and the urban centers. To conclude, to achieve the growth of tomorrow, we need to increase infrastructure investment today. TEN-T and CEF shall help to achieve this goal. I wish your conference fruitful debates to spread the message for the need of cooperation and coordination for the sake of a sustainable economic growth in European Union, or to put it short, connect to compete. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.